Racist and Eugenic Statements by Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Kakwadash. I'd like to say double honor to the apostles of GMS that rule of well. I'd like to say salutations to the Akim, the Akwaf, peace and blessings. To the hopefully elect, Shukwakara from GMS Virginia. And this is a pamphlet from years back. Goes into Margaret Sanger and her plan for eugenics and to get rid of you so-called Negroes. Now, there's been legislation that Esau wanted to put out that they pretty much want to get rid of so-called Black history. And then, if I'm not mistaken, there was another article that came back recently that pretty much said they don't want to push anything after 1970. They don't want to push so-called Black history. I wonder why. So-called Negro, Latino, and Hispanic Native Americans, due to all the plots and the plans to destroy us as a nation from our enemy, the so-called white man, the biblical Edomites. This is the plan, the plot to destroy us as a nation. And there's many angles and there's many, accounts, and there's much history. Us, first they destroyed our nationality, destroyed our minds, destroyed us spiritually, destroyed us physically. Then the workings that they tried to bring forth, and the thing that they still do even to this day. But I'm going to read the pamphlet. So it says, this is the first title, the first paragraph. So it says, we should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers, preferably with social service backgrounds. So again, he said, let's get matter of fact, let me get that real quick. So this is something Esau knew. So let me get that. Let me see. Set a king over thee of thy nation. Let me see real quick. Yeah, so Deuteronomy 7:15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee. Matter of fact, let me jump up. That's Deuteronomy 17:14, I think. Here it is. Let me see. Deuteronomy 17:14. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy power shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. And so Esau knows that. And I also remembered an article I read about back in the day. It said in order to destroy and pretty much mislead a Negro, use one of their own people. And they found that out even during slavery. The effects that a so-called thy own people can do. So it says, again, going back to get somebody preferably from social backgrounds. So get a Negro that's gonna dole them up, teach them, and then send them in as if he's going to help the people, but he's really destroying the people. So, and with engaging personalities, you see that? So make, doll them up, teach them how to conduct themselves, give them an image, set them up nicely, build them up eloquently, get this nigga an image so the other slaves or the other Jakes can look up to, aka rappers, etc. Leaders, false leaders. It says the most successful educational approach to the Negro is through a religious appeal. Christianity, Catholicism, Methodist, Buddhist, Jehovah Wickedness, etc. We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And also you so-called Latino Hispanic, because, y'all fall right into the other, into the, Salaki, y'all fall right into the plan as well. And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it even occurs to any of their more rebellious members. So it says Margaret Sanger's December 1939 letter to Dr. Clarence Gamble, 255 Adams Street, Milton, Massachusetts. Original source, Sophia Smith Collection, Smith College, Northampton, Massachusetts. Also described in Linda Gordon's Woman's Body, Woman's Rights, A Social History of Birth Control in America, New York, Grossman Publishers, 1976. So our failure to segregate morons who are increasing and multiplying demonstrates our foolhardy and extravagant sentimentalism. Okay, going back to Exodus, the first chapter. There's always been a plan to destroy Jake, mainly Negroes. I mean the men, Slocky. Philanthropists encourage the healthy and more normal sections of the world to shoulder the burden of unthinking and indiscriminate fecundity of others, which brings with it, as I think the reader must agree, a dead weight of human waste. Instead of decreasing and aiming to eliminate the stocks that are most detrimental to the future of the race and the world, it tends to render them to a menacing degree dominant. We are paying for and even submitting to the dictates of an ever-increasing, unceasingly spawning class of human beings who never should have been born at all. So again, this is pretty much how Margaret Sanger looked at our people, even to this day. Just as she made this speech, her fellow sister and fellow brethren, Edomites, took this idea, packaged it, and increased it, and played it out to this day, aka feminism, the alphabet community, etc. Margaret Sanger, this is from Margaret Sanger, The Pivot of Civilization, 1922, chapter on the cruelty of charity, pages 116, 122, 189, Swarthmore College Library Edition. Today, eugenics is suggested by the most diverse minds as the most adequate and thorough avenue to the solution of racial, political, and social problems. I think you must agree that the campaign for birth control is not merely of eugenic value, but is practically identical with the final aims of eugenics. Birth control propaganda is thus the entering wedge for the eugenic educator. And I want to say 1970, that's when, the sexual liberation, the birth control, I want to say took effect. So, as an advocate of birth control, I wish to point out that the imbalance between the birth rate of the unfit and the fit admittedly the greatest presence ministers civilization, can never be rectified by the inauguration of a cradle competition between these two classes. In this matter, the example of the inferior classes, the fertility of the feeble-minded, the mentally defective, the poverty-stricken classes should not be held up for emulation. On the contrary, the most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the over-fertility of the mentally and physically defective. Margaret Sanger, The Eugenic Value of Birth Control Propaganda, Birth Control Review, October 1921, page 5. Give dysgenic groups, people with bad genes in our population, their choice of segregation or compulsory sterilization. Margaret Sanger, April 1932, Birth Control Review. The third group of society are those irresponsible and reckless, ones having little regard for the consequences of their acts, or whose religious scruples prevent their exercise of control over their numbers. Many of this group are deceased, feeble-minded, and are of the pauper element dependent upon the normal and fit members of society for their support. There is no doubt in the minds of all thinking people that the procreation of this group should be stopped. And this says Margaret Sanger's speech quoted in Birth Control, what it is, how it works, what it will do. Jumping down, in passing, we should here recognize the difficulties presented by the idea of fit and unfit, who is to decide this question. The grosser, the more obvious, the undeniable feeble-minded should indeed not only be discouraged but prevented for propagating their kind. But among the writings of the representative of eugenics sick, one cannot ignore the distinct middle-class bias that prevails. So again, these Edomites pretty much told themselves that they need to be the brain of you so-called Negro, Latino, Hispanics. Thus, they let you procreate to the extent, to the certain degree. But the thing about it now, they allowed you to breed to the point when you come out, your mind is already on on a unnatural course, mentally broken, mentally weak. So you're good for economics. So jumping down, last page. So it says, birth control must lead ultimately to a cleaner race. He said, Margaret Sanger, Woman, Morality, and Birth Control, New York Publishing Company, 1922. There is only one reply to a request for a higher birth rate among the intelligent, and that is to ask the government to first take the burden of the insane and the feeble-minded from your back. Mandatory sterilization for these is the answer. So it says Slavs, Latin, and Hebrew immigrants. See that? Well, that's funny as hell. Damn. It says Slavs, Latin, and Hebrew immigrants are human weeds, a dead weight of human waste. Black soldiers and Jews are a menace to the race. So pretty much he wanted to have a pure Edomite race. And then, pretty much you so-called Negro, Latino, Hispanics, she wanted to control you. And it's pretty much keep you in a feeble state so they can control you, use you as slaves. Then when the time is right and when you are needed, you will be bred and used for what you will be used for, property. It's a eugenic civilization is an urgent need. We must prevent multiplication of this bad stock. Margaret Sanger, April 1933, birth control review. Our objective is unlimited sexual gratification without the burden of unwanted children. That's what you got today. That's what they were trying to push. Women must have the right to live, to love, to be lazy, to be an unmarried mother, to create, to destroy. The marriage bed is the most degenerative influence in the social order. The most merciful thing that a family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. Margaret Sanger, The Woman Rebel, Volume 1, Number 1, reprinted in Woman in the New Race, New York, Breton's Publishers, 1922. So again, these are the words that came from Margaret Sanger. Let me see something real quick. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna read this and close it. So it says, Psalm 59, 1. Chief musician Alshashith Mishtam of David, when Saul sent and they watched the house to kill him. Deliver me from my enemies, O my power. Defend me from them that rise up against me. Deliver me from the workers of iniquity and save me from bloody men. For lo, they lie in wait for my soul. The mighty are gathered against me. Not for my transgression, not for my sin, O Lord. They run and prepare themselves without my fault. Awake to help me, and behold, thou art therefore power, O Lord, power of hosts, the power of Israel. Awake to visit all the heathen. Be not merciful to any wicked transgressors. Selah. They return at evening. They make a noise like a dog and go around about the city. Behold, they belch out with their mouth. Swords are in their lips. For who, say they, doth hear? But thou, O Lord, shalt laugh at them. Thou shalt have all the heathen in derision. Because of his strength will I wait upon thee. For Yahweh is my defense. Yahweh Bashmi Yahshua is my defense. The power of my mercy shall prevent me. Yahweh Bashmi Yahshua shall let me see my desire upon my enemies. So, slay them not, lest my people forget. Scatter them by thy power, and bring them down, O Lord, our shield. For the sin of their mouth and the words of their lips, let them even be taken in their pride, and for cursing and lying which they speak. Consume them in wrath, consume them, that they may not be, and let them know that the power ruleth in Jacob to the ends of the earth. And again, you had a lot of these heathens that speak in great pride against our people, because they really do believe that we will be in their control forever. And these Edomites have a godlike mindset, and they really believe that we will be in their hands forever, and they can just sit there and create all sorts of things and believe that this is the game. They can propagate all types of divisions and plans and evil attention that they can bring upon Jake, ultimately to them putting the object in our people and controlling them. That's ultimate control. They can control your thoughts. They can control, see how way you move, see how your transactions, pretty much everything. But the plan is not going to become foolproof. These Edomites will eventually go down, and they will go into slavery. And we will rule with them iron fist with a scepter. The Lord's will, he was edified. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.